In this video, we're going to review slope, also known as average rate of change. When you see a graph and you want to find slope, you can do rise over run. So you can calculate how much you go up from a point. Now it doesn't matter which point you start at, but your work may look just slightly different. So we're going to do rise. We rise 1 over our run, 1, 2, 3, 4, to the left, so -4. Now if you went from the other point, you would rise, you're going down 1, so the top would be -1, and then you go to the right, 1, 2, 3, 4, so that would be a +4. Now it doesn't matter whether you have the negative sign on top or on bottom. If there's one negative sign in a fraction, then your answer is negative. So we have -1/4. Typically in your final answers, you'll see it all the way out to the side of the fraction. Again, we have a graph, so we'll do rise over run. Pick a point to start with. Count how much you go up. In this case, 3. So the rise is 3, and then we run to the right 1. 3 over 1, that's just 3. Again, it doesn't matter which point you start with. So if we start at this point, we go down 3, and then to the left 1. Down 3 would be -3. To the left 1 would be -1. Negative divided by a negative is positive. So either way, you get +3 for your answer, for your slope. Number 3, we're going to label our points and use the slope formula. Slope formula is difference in y's over difference in x's. Or you could say the change in y over the change in x. Now be consistent as you substitute in. So we have -4 minus 4 over -2 minus 2. Notice that the negative is in the formula. So you get -8 over -4. Negative divided by a negative is positive. So the answer is +2. If you can simplify the fraction or simplify it to an integer, you want to do that. Again, label your points. Substituting into the slope formula, you have y sub 2, which is -4. Minus from the formula, 1 on top. On the bottom, -1 minus -2. So on the top, -4 minus 1 is -5. On the bottom, -1 minus a -2 is the same as -1 plus 2, which is +1. Divide that and you get -5 for your slope. Label your points. Substitute into the slope formula. We have 5 minus 5 on top, 3 minus -2 on the bottom. So that gives us 0 over 5. If the top of the fraction is 0, then your slope is 0. Your final answer is 0. Label your points. Subtract on the top, you get 3. Subtract on the bottom, you get 0. 3 divided by 0. If you type this in your calculator, you should be getting an error of some sort. We call this undefined. We can't divide something into no parts. Some textbooks may say no slope. Undefined and no slope are the same. Label your points. Substitute into the slope formula. On top, -3. Minus in the formula. On the minus a -3. And then on the bottom, 0 minus 4. So you get 0 over -4. Again, if the top 0, it is 0. Label your points and substitute into the slope formula. So we have 4 minus 5 on top, 4 minus a negative 1 on the bottom. So on the top we get negative 1. On the bottom, 4 minus a negative 1 is the same as 4 plus 1, which is 5. Again, it doesn't matter where the negative sign is. If there's one negative sign in a fraction, it's negative. Same directions, finding the slope. Plug them into the slope formula. On the top, you get 9 minus negative 9, which is 9 plus 9, which is 18. On the bottom, you get 2. Divide that, you get 9. Alright, for this one, we're going to look at the graph. Average rate of change, that means the same thing as slope. So you got to locate your points. 1995, we're looking at this point here. In 1995, the population of Headland is 3,499. And then in 2005, population is 3,845. So those are the numbers that we're substituting into the slope formula. Label your points, x of 1, y sub 1, x of 2, y sub 2. So on the top, we have 3,845 minus 3,499. On the bottom, 2005 minus 1995. On top, when you subtract, you get 346. On the bottom, 10. Divide that and you'll see that you have 34.6. Typically when we do average rate of change, when we do a word problem, we will write it as a decimal. A little bit easier to picture what that is when we're doing word problems as a decimal versus a fraction. So this means from 1995 to 2005, the city of Headland grew at an average rate of 34.6 people per year. 11, which 5-year period was the rate of change in population the greatest? You're looking for the steepest part here. So you could do 3 calculations and find each of these rates of change and compare them, or you can just look at the steepest part. So the steepest part happens from 2005 to 2010. So that's when the city of Headland was growing the greatest for this portion of data. Which 5-year period is the least? So now we're looking for the one that's closest to being flat, which happens from 2000 to 2005. Again, you could do your calculations and compare the numbers to find the smallest number, but it's going to correspond to that least steep part of the graph. Alright, and then one more average rate of change problem. 1990, now we're looking at the city of Green Bay, Wisconsin. 195, now notice it's in thousands. And then in 2000, population was 227,000. So on top we can do 227 minus 195. on the bottom, 2000 minus 1990. Of course, when you subtract on the bottom, you'll get 0, or 10. On the top, 32. And then divide that, and so it's 3.2. Now, it's not people per year, it's thousands of people. 1,000 people per year. So we can say from 1990 to 2000, the city of Green Bay, Wisconsin was growing at an average rate of 3.2 thousand people per year. You could say 3,200 people per year. Hope you've enjoyed this video.